At the beginning of every session, I'm gonna just have to say that I'm still learning as well, which is why this is called a study with me session. And I'm just gonna bring up oh, god damn it, hang on. Very professional here. Okay. So I found some tutorials online that I thought would be pretty helpful. So when we're drawing hands, it's always kind of hard for me as well to figure out what shapes to use. I want to bring like the simplest one up. Right, this one. So for me, I think breaking down hands into like lines and shapes would be easier to learn than like just trying to imitate the hands like straight on. So here you can see that there's two colored lines. Well, that's really bad quality, but there's two different colors that they have broken this into. And it's blue and red to differentiate like the parts of the hand. And they've also kind of separated the palm to the fingers. So because everything is all connected, it's easier to like imagine them as shapes. So just looking at my own hand, I think at the moment I'm kind of like used to doing something like, oh man, that's really simple. Okay, I'm used to doing like this kind of shape for the palm, and then like here's the thumb that's like sticking out, and I'll just like make lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. You know, it's probably not correct. Okay, so 2, 3, and 4, and then so you've got 3 sections in your fingers, each separated by a knuckle. So I'm just gonna wait. Let me just erase that top part. I don't normally do this, but I think breaking it down into something like this might be easier to understand. And also, oops, extra circle. Like your fingers, your middle finger is always the longest, right? And then your pinky is the shortest, so I would probably make that like that. So for your thumb, you only have 2 sections. Well, actually you do have a third section, but the third section is like part of the palm. So there's 1 section, and that's the part of that thumb. So if you close your fingers together, your thumb ends like in between this knuckle here and this knuckle here. I might have to like shorten that to about there. So I think the best way to learn how to draw hands is looking at your own. But there is one problem that I have found, is that male hands and female hands are actually different. So because I have a female hand, I actually draw a lot of male hands more than I draw female hands. So they sometimes turn out to look a little more feminine than they should be. Just because I'm looking at my own hands. So we're going to talk about the difference between male and female hands next. But yeah, that's breaking down hands by like the bones, I suppose. So here is another tutorial that looks pretty promising, which is also kind of like breaking it down, but instead of like drawing lines, they're drawing shapes. So the best thing about this one is it's in English. So let's have a look at this one. The palm apparently is a pentagon. Okay, yeah, we can kind of see that looking at our own hands. But the way I see it is it's like a misshapen pentagon. It's not exactly like a perfect pentagon. So maybe for the palm, this is your wrist, right? From this tutorial, it looks like your palm is like not exactly like parallel. This part will be higher than this part, so make it a little bit slanted, and then bring that one down. So I'll connect this one first, and then I'll make the thumb here. I wouldn't say it's directly in the middle of this line. Maybe bring it up a little bit. Really depends how you're holding your hand. I actually think it is in the middle, but the bottom looks to be a little bit longer. So I'll end it like here, and then the thumb goes up to here with like a knuckle in between. So breaking it into shapes instead of like lines takes a little longer than breaking it into lines. Oh, wait, let me bring that down. It's like too high. Okay, so I guess it also teaches you where exactly these knuckles stop at. So looking at this, the pinky first knuckle is the lowest one. So when you're, I would still like roughly draw these lines there. If you're looking at the first knuckle, I would probably make it there. Yeah, it's like looking at my own hand again. The tip of my thumb lines up exactly where the first knuckle for the pinky ends. Now, this is probably going too technical into how to draw hands, but it's like a guideline, I guess. So once you know these rules, you can manipulate them better to draw hands without problem. Just gonna make some shapes here. And the tip of the finger is always like the smallest part. The way they're drawing it is like a little blunt at the tip. So I think that is like the biggest difference between male and female hands is how soft the lines are. Yes, fingers are very bendy. So if you stretch out your finger, like if you flex it, and also depends if you're like double jointed or not. It's not exactly a straight line, but if you do like a pointing finger, like accusatory finger at someone and really flex your finger, it actually bends backwards a little. Oh, right, sorry guys, I forgot to put this picture in. Okay, I'll put the first one and then the second one in that order. Alright. So yeah, fingers bend backwards a little bit when you point them. Like, if you use force, but if you're relaxing, it's not straight either. So if you're relaxing your finger, it actually looks like that. So just remember when you're drawing hands that none of these fingers are actually that straight. There's always knuckles involved. Right, let's look at the next one. Well, yeah, this one pretty much, it's not even English, but you can kind of get the idea. This is the same kind of tutorial as this one, where it's talking about breaking them into shapes. And to remember that your hands have thickness as well. So obviously when you're drawing hands, they don't they look pretty flat, right? But you have to keep in mind that hands have a bit of thickness. So it's like a slab of toast or something. Look, it's a toast. And there's like thickness to it. I mean, that's the weirdest way of like describing how to draw hands, but yeah, that's the thumb, which also has thickness. Tip. Looks like this tutorial tells you to draw your fingertips first, which I think is pretty good indication. Like, or like make the general shape. Like, look at step 5. So if you want your hand to be in a specific pose, like if you're reaching out or something, like just draw the general shape of your hand. And then I saw in this other tutorial where they actually draw the fingertips first, for example, like, man, I need to move this down. Sorry to the other hand, I cut you in half. So, fingertip, maybe you should use a different color. Fingertip, okay, fingertip. And then, I don't know, I want this one to be a little bent, and then like the pinky a little bent, so you kind of know where each finger is going to end up before you really get into it. And like in theory, I think this works pretty well. I personally just don't use this as much, only because I'm lazy. And when I'm drawing, I don't have that much time to think about these things, or I'm just not used to doing these steps before drawing hands. And then you can link up the rest. And this actually doesn't look bad. I think probably the palm needs to be a bit bigger, but you get the idea. Also, like, what these tutorials haven't really talked about is like the length comparison between your fingers and your palm. Sometimes it's hard to see or to gauge how big you should make certain parts of the hand, because you might not notice if like the proportions are off. I think your fingers are actually not as long as your palm. Let's just go with like a rough measurement. So if you guys were here for the last session, I talked to you guys about using your pen as a measuring tool. So hold out your pen, the tip of your pen reaching here, and then holding out your pen like that, and then like use your thumb to mark like here or something. That's not the correct accurate indicator, but like, okay, let's pretend that was not a mistake. Put your thumb here, and then so hold your left hand out and then sort of like measure your hand, your middle finger actually, because that's the longest finger, and then move that pen down so that the tip of your pen is at the base of your middle finger. You'll see that it actually doesn't reach the bottom of your palm. So if we go measure this part, it ends at about here. You guys can't see it, but I'm actually doing that in real life using my pen to measure. So this is probably like, okay, just do some rough fingers. Alright, there's the palm, and there's your thumb. This is really bad, but I'm just trying to like demonstrate how long your fingers are. Okay, so I think we might have a good idea of how to draw or how to break down hands before we start drawing. This one's definitely a more in-depth tutorial, and it's in Japanese. I can't really read that, but it talks about shapes of the hands and of the palm at different angles. So as long as you know how to break them down from your references, I think we're good to go. Okay, let's go. Right, so this is like the second part of the previous tutorial. So basically it's telling you that this piece of toast is bendy, and your fingers will also bend along with them, and they overlap. So yeah, this tutorial is pretty much saying the same thing, breaking them down into shapes, like the general shape first, and then you go in with like the finer details, marking where each finger will be. Man, these terms are really foreign to me. Distal phalanx? But you kind of get the idea. Yeah, so all these tutorials pretty much say the same thing. Alright, now let's start looking at the differences between male and female hands. So I think this one is a female hand. Let me just make a new layer like that. I think I also found a tutorial comparing the different hands. Okay, let's bring out these two. Right, so as you can see, yep, the male hands are wider and more angular, like the fingers, especially like these knuckles. And the female hands are like softer. I mean, this is definitely like generalizing. But when you're drawing, I don't think it really matters too much. So these knuckles are more prominent, and like the bones might show more, unless you're drawing someone who has like more meat on their hands. Yeah, wider fingertips. So one of the things that I make a mistake in is drawing the fingertips, like this is a side view, like drawing them all like that. Now, pointier fingertips are more of a female hand thing. And if you look at the bottom here, they're actually like more blunt. So maybe more like that or something. Which doesn't look very appealing, but I mean, that's just how it is. And also, I mean, this isn't for every female hand, but a lot of females would have like longer nails. So if you like drawing nails, like this is probably like the bottom view. Nails. I don't know. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of drawing nails, so I don't really draw them a lot. But yeah, see, these lines are a lot more softer and fluid. And I think the gestures are also like more feminine. But then again, I mean, this is 2020, right? We have like a huge variety of like genders, and it doesn't really translate well anymore. But I mean, it really depends what kind of character you're drawing. Okay, so let's look at some photos. As you can see, the male hand here, they do actually have bigger knuckles, and fingertips are like more blunt. And also, if you're drawing like a male and female hand holding together, the female hand would usually be smaller in comparison. And this is a female hand. The fingers, they look thinner, and these lines are softer, and like the knuckles, they don't look as wide. See over here, they look more rough, and over here they look really soft. And I mean, obviously this is a hand model's hand, so their hand is gonna be like prettier to look at than your average hand. And this is probably a male hand, even though their fingers are like slender. Like these knuckles are still more prominent. All right, let's look at some more complicated hand poses, I guess. Breaking this one up, playing a guitar. Wow, that's pretty small. All right, let me just lower the opacity so we can draw over it. Right, so applying what we've learned previously. Oh, wow, okay. There we go. Going back to red color. All right, I'm just gonna start by drawing my bread. I mean, you don't need that line, but this is your piece of bread. And these fingers, I guess I'll just draw the bottom part of the bread as well, just so you can see that this is like three-dimensional. Oof. Okay. Alright, so knuckles are here, here. Oh, let's draw that in the middle. Here and here. And the thumb is actually behind, so you can't really see it. And that goes linking down to the wrist. Something like that. Maybe move that, but well, it's okay. You don't have to be so precise. Alright, I personally draw lines, but you can draw shapes. I will draw shapes over the top of that. Okay. Turn that off. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Let's just pretend that the thumb is over there. Well, I mean it is, but it's not really easy to see. Alright. Drawing these shapes on top. Also keep in mind like which direction these knuckles are facing. And this will determine where your fingers will be. So this knuckle is bent so that it's like that way. It's like drawing faces, right? So you've got a face. Oh man, that is not a good one. Okay, that's a head. And if your person is looking left, you're gonna, draw your line that way. And if your person is looking up, your line's gonna be that way. So like that's the direction you're facing, right? Let me move that to the right. So same goes with your fingers. Your fingers are facing that way, and this is like not as bendy as that one because that one is like facing, well, that one's like bent, and this is pointed towards you. I guess draw the finger like that. Oh, hey Shibi, I'll if you guys are sharing photos of your own hand, we can do that at the end where we draw each other's hand. And then I'll include those photos in the classroom chat. This one I think would be bending that way. Yeah, okay. And then like a little bit of the thumb here, just to show that it's there. Okay. Yeah. I mean, when you're thinking about drawing someone playing the guitar, you know, these fingers like facing odd ways might look a bit funny when you're looking at it like that, but it makes a lot of sense. Okay, the next one, this is I think a common pose, I would say, to be drawing in your illustrations. This is like the holding out your hand kind of pose. Alright, now dim that. Once again, breaking that down by shapes. Here's your toast. Oh, okay. Toast is like that. And this piece of toast is curved. So, you know, you might want to add this line here. Let's just have that back line. Yeah, so this one actually has a thumb. Something like that. So I'm just gonna draw these lines in just to guide myself. Knuckle, knuckle. I mean, even fingers that we can't see, it's still good to draw the guidelines in. Okay, shapes. Now this one has a little bit of foreshadowing. Foreshortening. Ooh, English is not my first language. So the fingertip that is closer to you is going to overlap the knuckle or section behind it. So just remember that when you're drawing hands. And this one is also foreshortening. This knuckle seems to be a lot shorter than your thumb fingertip. Is it called a thumb tip? Shower thoughts. Let's and you can also like dim this layer when you're like finalizing your your hand drawing. So let's pretend they're connecting that to the hand. And also there's like a vein, or yeah, there's a vein going down the middle of your hand that sometimes can be seen if you like flex your hand. Especially if you, how do you say it? Face your hand towards you and then like bend your hand also towards you. You can see this vein in the middle. Do I need to take a photo of that for you guys to know what I'm talking about? It may help. Okay. Well, my lighting is not the best right now. Okay. Yeah, it's light. I think it really depends what kind of pose your hand is doing. And it's not really important to have it in there. Should I put it in? Okay, I'll put it in classroom notes. Actually, yeah, I'll put it in classroom notes. Okay, so let's grab that photo. This is gonna come out really huge on this page. Ooh, yep, there it is. And it's always sideways for some reason. I don't get it. Okay. So what I was talking about is this part here. Oh, don't know if you can see my cursor, but this part here. It's not always there, but it is there when you move your hand towards you. And you can kind of like feel it with your hand. And it feels a bit springy. Like, I think it's a tendon. Yeah, so yeah, keep that in mind when you're drawing these kind of hands. Like I said, I usually like look at my own hands when I need like specific poses if I can't find references online, and just like do these poses yourself to see what you need to be aware of. Yeah, all right, let's move on. I think we're going that way. Okay, so this one I think are female hens. Sometimes you just can't tell. Okay, so this one is a little bit different, and it's already pretty light, so don't need to dim it too much. Because they are facing not directly in front anymore, your piece of toast is on its side. Okay. There's the thumb. And your fingers are like overlapping each other. It's gonna get messy if your image is like really small. Oh, okay, gotta link these fingers up. And okay, the middle finger. This one is pointed up. I mean, you don't have to draw the little knuckles. I'm just doing that to indicate. Just gonna dim that and then draw over it because it's hard to see now that there's so many lines there. So when you're drawing shapes, there's that shape. Wait, I'm getting confused now. Right there. No, wait, hang on. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I think I might move that knuckle down. Ooh, damn. Okay. There we go. That's better. Like, at some point, you don't really have to draw the rest of the fingers. Also, this finger is like, I mean, the hand itself is like tilted upwards, and the pointer finger is like the furthest away from you. So it doesn't even need to be as big as your fingers up front. I mean, it's only a tiny little difference. So if you look at your own hand, you notice that your thumb is actually facing a different way from your fingers. So when you open up your hand, you can grab things easier. I mean, this is probably how evolution made it. But just pay attention, I guess, to the direction of your thumb. Because your fingers, or like, okay, so let's just say your fingers are facing you, right? These are really crude drawings. But your thumb is actually facing sideways when your fingers are facing you. So when you're drawing hands, just need to realize that you can't draw your thumb the same direction unless your hand is like saying hello. Like, I mean, even when you're saying hello, your hands aren't like fully flexed. You're like relaxing your hands a little bit, right? And you can still tell that your thumb is facing a different direction. Okay, let's finish this one. This piece of toast is wrong. Wait a minute. Did I just accidentally... I dropped a different color? Yes, I did. Okay. So back to the toast. So yeah, you kind of get the idea, right? Is anyone needing more explanation, or do you think that I have explained it okay? I'm kind of like constantly afraid that I'm not explaining myself correctly or like clearly. And also like the length of these knuckles, or like, well, not like, I mean, are they even called? The knuckle is like the joining area, right? So I guess the section of the bone. So let's look at this finger like that. The fingertip is always like the shortest one, and then the second section is a little bit longer, and the last section is like a lot longer. But actually, you can't tell from like looking at your inner palm, because on the inside they look really similar, like about here. But if you look at the back of your hand, or like if you look at your hand on the side, like That's the fingertip. That's the middle section. And then your this section to the knuckle is actually really long. But on the inside of your hand, it only goes up to here. So it's kind of like that. And then that is like your palm over there. Yeah. So as Doom said, touching your hands, feeling your bones, helps you understand like where your bones are. And if you look at so as I was saying, if you look at it on the side, you can see that from the back, your knuckle is actually here, but from the front, you've got like flesh blocking this part. So it actually ends like here. So just keep that in mind when you're drawing hands, I guess. They don't all end at the same place. So if you end your hand here, it's gonna look really strange because it's gonna look longer than it should be. So yeah, end that over here. Like even this one. Let me just erase that. So when I kind of noticed this, that's why I was talking about it, because the knuckles are here, right? But on the inside, it's actually here. Like it ends here. So this part is actually longer than you think it is. Maybe it helps if you like break it up this way and then like give it a gap. Or just think of it as the thickness of your toast. I'm really liking this toast analogy. Because it kind of works, right? Okay. Moving on to the next part. So now that we have an understanding of how you draw hands and what to keep in mind of, we can do a few exercises of quick hand drawings, like we did quick fire pose drawings at the end of our session last time. So for poses, I had the timer set to 2 minutes. I think maybe 1 minute is enough for hands. Or what do you guys think? Do you need 2 minutes to draw hands? 2 minutes? Doom says 1 minute is good. Okay, we'll start with 2 minutes and then we'll move on to 1 minute. And we can probably tell if it's like enough time. Okay, let me just get the timer. 30 seconds? Jesus Christ. We'll start slow, okay, guys? Not everyone is on the same level. 3-second hands. Oh, have you guys seen those like 5 second, 5 minute, what is it? 5 second, 50 seconds, and 5 minute drawings? Yeah, it's like a challenge kind of thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can do something like that, but we'll just start slow. Yeah, actually, before we do that, I think there's one more image that I want to talk about, is holding things, right? Because I feel like a lot of us would be drawing this kind of hand pose a lot. Especially when we're drawing things like holding weapons, because we're edgy like that. Don't quote me on that. I mean, we can still use the toast analogy here. Okay. But we also have to think about where the thumb and the fingers are when they're holding something. And remember, sorry, my mouth got stuck. Remember when I talked about how the thumb is facing differently? Now, this is a good example of how that is working. Because we need the thumb to face differently when we're holding things, right? Especially if you're like holding a cup, it just helps us grip better. So let's draw the toes first. Yeah, okay. Because we can't see the back of the hand, we're just gonna have to assume where it is. So let's think about it like that. Here's our toast. Bring out the thumb. I mean, if it helps you, you can draw this part of the thumb. Because if you wrap your thumb around in front of your palm, it brings the whole, like, this section. Okay, so that is the... So the thumb is facing, like inwards. And also it's like at the front. So here's, let's pretend that's a sword or something they're holding. Sword hilt. I don't know. So the fingers that are behind wrap around. And as you can see, that part of the fingers are like hidden, especially like behind here. So it helps if you actually, like, when you're drawing the weapon, it helps if you draw the whole thing to connect the top and the bottom part. Otherwise, I mean, this is back in the days when I was like learning how to draw. I had a teacher, so she would tell us that whatever you're holding or whatever you're like the item that you're drawing, even if it's covered up, draw the whole thing. Like if you cover it up like that, I mean, it's better to like draw the whole thing and then erase that later than to like draw this thing in front and then like try and guess where it is, because you might not be correct. I mean, eventually you might get better at it, but if you actually look at this, I have made a mistake here. It doesn't line up properly. But yeah, draw the air, quote unquote hilt of the sword. Yeah, I'm just actually skipping the bone step just to make this a little faster. And also, when you're holding something, your pinky, since it's shorter, it will also be facing a different way. So I'm actually looking at my hand. Let me take a photo of this so you can see what I'm talking about. If I'm holding on to something, let me actually hold on to something. I'm trying to find something that's like not too big for me to hold. Alright, I've got this lint roller. Okay, let's bring that in. That is way too big. Okay, so looking at my fingers here, see how my pinky is not actually facing the same way? I mean, in a way, right? Let's dim this a little bit. What I mean by that is these three fingers are all facing the same way. And then this one is actually going up a little, and it's like facing that way. Just by looking at the knuckles, like these three fingers are like that, and this one is like, because it's shorter, it's like going up a little. be mindful of this part here. When you're drawing that part, because it overlaps, just gotta draw that line there to show that it's overlapping. And see how my thumb is facing that way? But my thumb is actually behind these fingers. Whereas in our photo example, your thumb, that thumb is like covering your pointer finger. It really depends on what kind of like pose you're doing. Okay, so I think we're ready to do some 2-minute quick fire hand drawing. I have the timer set up at 2 minutes. I think we'll start off with like the top 3, and then we'll go down. I think this one's probably enough for us to draw, to be honest. All right, okay. I'll just do a little countdown. Let me get my pen ready. Let's just zoom in. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and go. Remember the toast. You know what? I think 2 minutes is actually a lot. Also, as I'm drawing this, I have noticed that not all fingers face the same way either. We can talk about that at the end, I guess, or after this. Well, I'm done with 37 seconds to spare. I mean, that's good enough. You don't have to finish like the hand. You've got 15 seconds left. Five, four, three, two, one, and time's up. All right, so 2 minutes a little long. What do you guys think? One minute 30? Yeah, I think so too. Okay, right. Let's go with 1 minute 30. Label that as number 1. Okay, let's go on to number 2. And the timer will begin in 3, 2, 1, and go. Wow, okay, this one's a little different. Remember the toast. And remember the fingers are bendy, so the fingers will probably bend backwards a little bit. Notice how the thumb's knuckle. Oh, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Whoops. But yeah, what's the order? Just 1, 2, 3, left to right. Just barely. Yeah. Me too, actually. I mean, I did like spend a little more time on this thumb here. But this knuckle here is very prominent. When you're drawing, it's kind of like the rest of these knuckles. So just to like, when you're drawing, just I think remember to like make that knuckle stand out a little more. Nice, thank you, nice. Also, thank you. You might have missed the first half, but I have this recorded, so I will. Oh yeah, I still have to finish editing the other session before this one. But when I'm done, I will upload that to YouTube as probably like an unlisted video. And then I'll link it and pin that in the classroom notes. Okay, so I think, yeah, 1 minute 30 is pretty good. Yeah, this person's fingers are really long and slender as well. I can't tell if this is a female or a male, but I think it's a female. Okay, so the third one is the one on the top right corner, which is like holding it out as a claw. And remember how I talked about there's that tendon at the inner wrist area? It's really prominent in that one. You don't have to draw that in, but I mean, I think it's probably like good to think about that when you're shading. And also one more thing that I want to talk about is that one little bone on your wrist. Let me just bring that picture up. I'm talking about, hang on. I'm talking about this bone here. So when we're drawing, we tend to forget that there's this bone here. Chibi, you're already like going way past. Alright, fine, we'll just continue. Okay, so let's do the third one. And I'm gonna start the timer. 3, 2, 1, go. Oops. Remember to like give yourself plenty of room on your paper. Also with these kind of like claw hand pose postures, hand posture. Your fingers are actually bending backwards a little at the knuckle. Shibi, you're like that overachieving the overachieving one in the class, which is not a bad thing. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. So I was talking about this one here, like over here. When you're doing these claw hands, you're actually lifting your fingers up. So it's like actually going backwards a little bit. Oh, that's okay, Mello. So at the end of this, what do you call it? Quick fire drawings. You guys can like take a photo or like screenshot of what you've drawn and post that into classroom notes, but not yet. I'll let you know when you can post that. So I'll share my resources first, and then you guys can post your results underneath that, so it's easier to find. Okay, so let's go to number 4. I don't know how many we want to do. Maybe we'll just do the top 9. Unless there's one like specific one that you want to draw, like the one holding the pencil, because that's like something that we might use a lot, I guess. Maybe we'll do 10, like the top 9 plus the one holding the pencil. Okay, right. Going down to number 4, which is like the first one in the second row. The clock starts 3, 2, 1, go. This one's really different. Just because of the angle and like the way the fingers are bending. Personally, I'm not really used to drawing the fingers bending that way. Oops. And also because of the way that it's bent, The middle finger is bent more, so it's actually shorter than your pointer finger. Well, I'm actually done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And time's up. Yeah. I think mine didn't turn out exactly like the reference. Close enough. It looks broken. Oh no. They do tend to be a little bit broken looking because it's not like the normal way you'd, pose your hand. Okay, let's go to number 5. That is the second row, second one. And the clock starts 3, 2, 1. Go. I need like a sound effects board or something. Like the Mario Kart. Boop, 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 beep. This one is actually a little bit more difficult. Wow. I don't think I've ever drawn a hand like that before. And I think my drawings are getting bigger and bigger. Oh, that does look broken. Okay, time's up. Sorry, I did not look at my clock. Oh, damn, that one was a little harder, I think, than the rest of them. And yeah, they are getting bigger and bigger. Damn it. Let me just resize this. Just so it looks okay on the page. Okay, let's move on to number 6. That's the one, third one on the second row. I mean, you guys probably already know that by now. Is it me or are hands like aliens for art? We think we know them, but they start doing weird stuff. I know! That is why I still struggle with hands. Like, every time I think I know how to draw hands, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draw this, like, pose, which is one that I haven't done before. And then I try to find poses, and I can't find them, and I take a photo of my own hand, and I'm like, why does my hand look so strange? I don't want to draw feet. Chibi, you overachiever. Yeah, okay, Chibi's the one that's done all his homework in advance. I mean, we didn't even have to draw all of them, but it's okay. Okay, are we ready for number 6? Pen's gonna be your rival. Watch out, Sheeb. Yeah, okay. He's excused because he's working. Alright. Let's begin the 6th one. And 3, 2, 1. Ooh, this piece of toast is really interesting because it's kind of like bent. And also it's on the side. Okay, that's too thick. Wow, I'm getting messier and messier. This is really big. God damn it. Oh, time's up. Damn it, I went over. Ugh, I didn't even finish my thumb. Oops. Yeah, this one. Okay, so the thumb for this one is a little bit different. Let me just redo the thumb. Yeah, that's just not gonna look right. Holy crap, that's way too big. Well, at least I know which ones I'm having trouble with. Yeah, Mello, this is something else. I think this one requires more time to like fully understand how it works. Okay, so number 7. Let's just, let it be. Okay. 3, 2, 1, A. Wow, this one actually looks like they're really flexing their fingers. Like heavily. Is that even a way to describe it? I kind of want to talk about this one after we do the quick drawing. Oh, I finished before the timer. 10 more seconds. But I feel like I can still work on it a bit more. Oh, and time's up. Okay, so Shibi, how about that hand? Okay. I need to find like a photo reference for that. Okay, I have a few on the 3rd page that are like fingers pointing towards you. So we can do one of those. later. This one also turned out huge. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about this one is that looking at this hand gesture, you realize that your fingers, they all kind of face differently depending on how your hands are. Especially if you're drawing them like, if you're holding your hands and you're like spreading your fingers out, they're kind of fanned. Like that's the shape and angle that your fingers are facing. So this one's facing this way, this one's facing down, and then that one's facing that way. Kind of like spider legs, if you think about it. Creepily enough, right? And then your thumb is like completely in a different direction. Spider hands. Ooh. That's creepy. Okay, so the rest of the hands are like kind of similar. Number 8, we're gonna do some different ones. Also, I brought these ones here because I feel like we're gonna need these poses a lot. I don't know, there's just so many to break down, to be honest. But let's go with this one. I will drop this one into classroom notes. Sorry, Cole, is he here? No, he's not. I'm gonna have to delete his message. That one here. Okay. Let's go with... these are all really weird, huh? Which ones do you want to do? Pajama cake. That is a funny name. Okay. You guys can see my cursor, right? Time to flex again, Shimmy. Okay, let's just go with the second row, second one. The one that's like, oh, hang on. I'll just take a screenshot of that one. This one here. Okay, let's put the timer on. Number 8. Second row, second one, yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, so this piece of toast is bent like that. Man, I don't think I've ever drawn a hand like this. Also, notice how like the pointer finger and the middle finger are like overlapped, kind of like in a way that looks like webbed. Like imagine if your hands are kind of like a frog's, which I do not enjoy the thought of. But there's like a little bit of skin in between your fingers. And also, there's a bit of foreshortening on the middle finger. Man, this one's hard. Oh, this one's just gonna have to do. And notice the knuckles as well. Did I draw 3 fingers already? Okay. I'm getting confused now. How many fingers that I have drawn? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think I screwed this one up. It's good enough. It's just less detail than the other ones. I think I did better than I thought. Barely got the thumb in. We're doing fine, guys. We're doing fine. Alright, and for the 9th one, let's go back to the previous image that I showed you guys. I think this one's good. Doom, did you talk in the wrong channel? It's okay. I'll just delete it. Oh, you can delete yourself. Okay, so here you guys go. That is the one that I found. The thinking pose, or where you have like the hands under your chin, I think that one is also one that tends to be drawn a lot. So the 9th sketch that we're gonna do, I think, which one do you think is good? I think so. Counting from top left to bottom right? 1, 2, 3 going across, and then 4 on the second row. I think number 6 is good. Second row, first one. Do you actually think like that? I think normally I would use like the 5th one or the 6th one, just because it looks nicer, I think. Last one looks interesting. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, let's go for the last one, the 9th one. Oops, sorry. Zoom in a little bit. Okay. And the timer will begin. It's weird but cool. I wouldn't say it's weird. It's just like unusual. All right, let's begin. 3, 2, 1, and go. So this piece of toast is actually folded in the way that you can actually see both ends of the toast. And notice how like the middle finger, actually like the pointer finger is actually behind everything that you can see. I actually really like this pose. And actually the thumb is like behind the chin. I'm just gonna draw the chin so I don't have to draw the thumb. And time's up. That's not too bad. I think I did okay. Alright, last one. I'm just gonna resize mine so that it all fits better on the page. Okay, last one. I think I'm gonna go back to the first one and then do the pencil holding one. Long fingers, yes, very long. Okay, so, and 3, 2, 1. The thumb, even though it's facing us, it's still not directly facing us. It's still facing a little bit to the left. The thumb is a mysterious thing indeed. I'll like draw the guideline for the pencil just so I know where it is. You don't actually see all the fingers. I'm actually counting the fingers because I'm so confused. I think the mistake that we sometimes make is what I've mentioned before, like not drawing what is hidden. So if you draw out the fingers that are hidden, you can actually see better where they are. And time's up. Damn, I just made it. Whew. Chibi's a good boy. Wow. Spider-Man. Nice. Okay, so that concludes our last section of the hand drawing session. My sketches are like everywhere. And I don't even know where... Oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna have to delete this. Okay. So, I think I have shared all of them. Yep, okay, I've shared all of them. So you guys can share your results now in the classroom notes channel. Yes, brain derped for a second. And I will also share what I have sketched as well. So, do you guys have any questions for me about hand drawing? How to draw fingernail? Oh, okay, that's a very good question. You know what? I also struggle with this myself. Alright, so let's talk about nails. Okay, so this one. Let's just draw the hand itself first. So, toes, thumb, finger there's like that. Sometimes I just shorten it to like 2 knuckles, but yeah, we tend to forget that it's actually 3. I mean, not knuckles, like 3 sections of the finger. And I think it's like over there instead. Alright. You guys can draw this one along with me as well if you want. So you understand like how the nails work. Don't forget to draw the knuckles as well if you want to. This one's not timed, by the way, so there's no rush. pinky kind of like goes outwards a little at the end. Okay. Let me just clean up these lines. Right, so as I was talking about this before, your the way your hands are shaped is it's kind of in a fan. So this way, as I understand it, it's easier for you to grab things. So even if these three fingers are kind of the same, they're still facing different ways. If you hold your hand out like that, if your hand is just like doing the stop, like if you close your fingers together, that your nails are all facing the same way. But if you open your hand, it actually forms like a circular kind of thing. I mean, imagine it like a stingray. Like if you flex your fingers, like your pinky and your thumb up and down, you can make like a stingray kind of. So yeah, your hands are really flexible, to be honest. So when you're holding it like this, they do actually face different ways. And so the nail on your pinky it's actually facing like that way. And also there's a bit of like curve to it. Like normally, but you can't really see it in there. Possibly because it's even more that way. And it just goes like that. And then your ring finger. So just, yeah, pretty much just remember that there's also a curvature to them as well. I think, yeah, I would draw these little lines for the bottom of the nail first. And also like the shape of the nails, like it's not just flat, but there's a bit of like bumpiness over here. That is a sign of a healthy nail bed, I guess. There's a little bit of a bump. Like, you don't have to draw this, but it does make it more realistic this way. And then you've got the nail like that. So, I mean, for now, we'll just like draw it straight. And then we can like add the details later. So let's maybe add the bump here. And then finish this over there. Same thing with the middle finger here. And also the length of the nails. So for this one, and length and the shape. Like if you're doing a female hand, you can make the nails a bit longer and pointier as well. Let's just erase that. That looks kind of scary, to be honest. But you don't actually have to go into that much of a detail. I think if you put too much detail in there, it looks a little scary. But because it's in a fan, right? You're gonna see more and more of the nail. The I guess the closer you are, I think. How do I explain this? So the pointer finger is facing upwards more, and then your pinky finger, in this case, is facing away from you. So the further you, like the closer you get to the camera, in terms of like facing your hand, the more of the nail you're gonna see. So for the pointer finger, it's actually kind of more like this. You see more of the nail. And you can actually see a little bit like of the flesh on this side, but only a tiny little bit. And the thumb is like on a completely different thing on its own. It's doing its own thing. Yeah, so that is nails, I guess. Okay, so I will post this into the notes chat. But first I will kind of label. This is just to show like which direction the nails are facing. These arrows. Okay, let me just write that down then. Okay. I hope that answered your question about nails, Shibi. Okay. I think we can conclude the session here. If you guys have any like good hand references, you can also drop them in I think you can drop them in, oh god, where is it? Learning/inspo. I will link that in VC chat. Just because it's not like connected to what we're doing in the classroom itself. But yeah, if you guys have any good references, Learning Inspo is a good place to drop them. And it's always a good idea to check that whenever you need some inspiration. Right, thanks for coming to this session, guys. Wow, 2 hours. I didn't expect hands to last this long. Thank you guys for coming along. This was really fun. I learned quite a bit as well. And I hope it was helpful for you guys. And I'll see you in the next session.